Hey everyone, welcome to the RotoGrinders Morning Grind podcast. I'm your host, Stevietpfl. It's Tuesday. It is November 21st. It is 2023. We have 5 basketball games to talk about here on today's podcast. No back-to-backs, which is fantastic. A game with a 250 total and a in-season tournament slate. So these games have been a lot of fun, and this whole in-season tournament thing has been a lot of fun to follow along. So pumped today, joined by Stevietpfl. You all know him as TastefulTides. Tim, what's happening, my friend?
Not much, Stevie. I feel like I haven't seen you in like over a month. I don't think. Were you away?
I was on. Yeah, I took a week off. I always take a week off after NASCAR season. I need to reset.
Yeah.
So NASCAR, I work 7 days a week and needed a reset. So yeah. Came back. Yesterday was my first day back, and 2-0 on my bets and hit a 3 NBA parlay and 3-leg parlay. And I was telling you, I got a 4-leg NHL parlay that I just honestly copied and pasted from Scores and Odds. You guys have been absolutely crushing NHL. So pumped. I need one last thing. So sweat that out. The game's just getting rolling off. So National Blowout Association. I see you guys over there in YouTube chat. What's up, YouTube? If you haven't already, subscribe. We're to the RotoGrinders Morning Grind YouTube page. We are closing in on 850. We're trying to get to 1,000 before the end of the year. That was my goal. I haven't been pushing it, so I'm going to push it now. Go subscribe. Thank you. Appreciate it. Tim, we got 5 basketball games. It's a pretty interesting slate. I think that we have one game on the slate that's just, the Pacers-Hawks game. I feel like everyone is going to load up on that game as much as possible. I'm with them. I'm going to as well. We have their first and third in pace, and we'll talk about it a little bit more when we get there. But to
talk about that total. I don't remember the last time I've seen a total that high. Really,
250 is a big one. It's a big one. We'll definitely spend plenty of time on that game. So let's jump in and get started. We got Toronto in Orlando facing my Magic. 216.5 total here. Orlando a 1.5 point favorite. On the Toronto side, Thaddeus Young is doubtful. Doesn't really matter. He does not play a lot. Wendell Carter Jr. and Markelle Fultz are out for Orlando. Let's get started here with the Toronto side of this game first. What do you like here for the Raptors?
Yeah, I think you got to have some interest in Scotty Barnes. I think he's been, he's had a really good season so far. 8,900, I think, is a fair enough price. These teams they don't play particularly fast, but I think this is a matchup that he could excel in. Pascal Siakam, 8,200. I still think he's a little bit too cheap. Like, he's had some decent games. He's had some really bad games, but I think looking like long-term form, like 8,200 is too low for him. I think this is a really good matchup for him. Jakob Poeltl under 6K, I think is interesting. But I think for most part, I'm just going to stick with Barnes and Siakam.
Magic, one of the best, if not the best defense through the first few weeks here of the season. Them in Minnesota, they're both playing fantastic, and they kind of flip-flop, it seems like, every other day in defensive rating as far as NBA stats are concerned. So, tough matchup. What I will say, like, with Wendell Carter Jr. out, that definitely helps the big man situation for, like, teams facing them. So I actually kind of like Pascal Siakam here. Like, it's a 5-game slate. Yeah. You mentioned the price on Siakam. I have been riding Scotty Barnes and playing him a ton this season. He's 8,900 now. Like, he has to have that stealing game. I don't know if this is necessarily the spot that he's going to have a stealing game. Orlando Magic has been really good against wings this season. So, again, I watch the Magic play a lot, and, looking at, like, what they've done to wings this year, they're allowing the second fewest fantasy points per game to wings. And even like point guards, when Barnes has got the ball in his hands, they're bottom 10 in, fantasy points allowed to point guards. So I think this is a Siakam game. If I'm looking at anything here from Toronto, I don't mind Jakob Poeltl. I think he's someone that could potentially get you like 6x, and 5-game slate, 6x isn't going to kill you. But I really think this is the spot you play Siakam. I don't mind like Gary Trent off the bench, depending on how much value opens up on the slate. We have some value already, but let's see how it opens up throughout the day. Going to the other side of this game, I mean, Orlando is a tough team because the usage is just so spread out, and like anybody can play well on any given night. I always think that like your ceiling guys are Banchero and Franz Wagner. Those are your ceiling guys. I like Cole Anthony with Fultz out, but like his price is kind of adjusted to him being out and Suggs as well. So I think it's a tough spot to kind of figure out where you want to attack the Magic. If anything, maybe like a large field tournament play on like a Mo Wagner here. I think that is something you could potentially do. I think, Anthony Black gets a little bit of ownership here at 3,700. He's an okay value play. What do you like for the Magic?
I was even going to say, I know this sounds gross and everyone hates to play him, but even like Gary Harris, depending on what kind of value we get. I mean, he could get, 25 fantasy points for 4K, which if we don't get a lot of value, that might be good enough. I really like Cole Anthony, especially when he comes off the bench. But I don't think this is a great matchup. Like, you mentioned how good Orlando is defensively. Toronto is 8th in the league in defensive rating. So this is not really a great spot. I'm with you on the Mo Wagner call. And I'd also just throw in Gary Harris as another potential cheapie if we don't get any good value. Maybe even like a Joe Ingles too.
Oh, Jingles, baby. Jingles.
If he gets 20 minutes at 3,500, he could easily go over 20 fantasy points.
The good thing about like Joe Ingles, if you take shots on him, is like he doesn't have to just do it by points. This is a guy that get assists, rebounds, steals. So I don't hate that call. Like, you're hoping for that like 25-minute game instead of that 18-minute game. Fultz being out, the possibility is there. Like the Magic will roll with the hot hand, with that second unit and like getting a little bit of extra runs. So, there's a lot that you could do here. I think you're looking for some value from the Magic, if anything. Again, we have a couple really good games on this slate. This is not one of them.
This is by far the worst one in my opinion. No, it's not even close.
Competitive wise, the competitiveness of this game is going to be great. I mean, it's going to be a really competitive, close game. Those are always good games to target, but I mean, not the fastest paced game in the world. And like you said, defensively, both of these teams have been good defensively. Moving on, we got Indiana at Atlanta. 250.5 total. It opened at 249.5. It's up to 250.5, up a point since it's opened. Atlanta, 3.5 point favorite. I mean, the only injury news here that we have to watch is Nembhard is questionable to play in this game. He's really like a 10 to 15 minute guy most nights, so it's not a huge thing if he were to sit. But I mean, it's worth noting in a game that has a 250 total that we all want to stack and play. So. I already kind of talked about it. Pace-wise, first and third in pace this season for these two teams. Indiana is 26 in defensive efficiency. Atlanta's 21st. Bad defense, fast-paced game, back and forth, play everybody. I mean, starting with the Pacers, paying up for Halliburton and like Trae Young is definitely a strategy you can do on this slate. This is going to be a back-and-forth type of game. What do you like here for the Pacers?
Yeah, I mean, Halliburton is obviously your first choice. I think this might be a really good spot for like a Bruce Brown, a Buddy Hield, even a Miles Turner, like really all of them. I mean, I don't remember the last time I saw a total over 250. I see plenty of 240s all the time, but over 250. I mean, that's amazing. So you're definitely going to want to get exposure, like tons of exposure to this game. So I would stick with like Hield, Brown, Mathurin, Halliburton, assuming that, they're all healthy and start and that we don't get any, real strong value.
Yeah, I mean, Halliburton is someone that I can't wait to see as assist prop. As far as like it's got to be like
11.5.
Not high enough. Not high enough. I will probably, I mean, anything 11.5 or under, I'll probably take the over on Halliburton. I might even like it at 12. I think this is a big, and like if you don't love that, you could go like points assist. Because this is a game. I think Halliburton's one of the top plays on the entire slate DFS wise.
Definitely.
Yeah, just a phenomenal spot. Like the price on Buddy Hield, he's having an awful season. He is not having a good season. They have, yeah, just not clicking. And like there really hasn't been like the guy that has replaced him as far as like taking a ton of shots. I think Bruce Brown is okay in tournaments at 5,500 in this type of game. I even think like a Miles Turner, a guy that we don't talk about a lot. His minutes are all over the place. He fouls and gets in trouble all the time. I think this is a Miles Turner type of game. So everything for the Pacers here. I mean, this is just a phenomenal spot. Let's go to the Atlanta side. I mean, another great spot. Obviously, like Clint Capella should smash in this spot. Another guy that I have wrote. I already wrote down like Capella's rebounds, Halliburton's points and assists. Like I want to be watching when we start getting some props rolling out for this game. But love Clint Capella today. Really like Trae Young. I'm going to probably, like, my main lineup is likely going to have 2 to 4, maybe even 5 players from this game.
How popular is Trae Young going to be on the slate at 9,100? That is way too cheap. He's going to be so popular. He's going to be over 50% in like higher dollar single entry stuff. Like, I mean, he's going to be like in the $100 single entry, he's going to be 60%, I'd say.
He's going to be really chalky. I think Capella is going to be really popular as well. I think Jalen Johnson's going to get a ton of ownership. Like, we love bigs against the Pacers, and I mean, Capella at 5,700, if he gets 27 plus minutes in this game, he's going for 35 plus fantasy points. I hope anyway. So I think, yeah, ownership wise, Capella, I think gets a lot of ownership. I think Trae Young gets a lot of ownership. Like Trae Young, 9,100.
And don't forget about Jalen Johnson. I think this is a really, really great spot for him. I mean, he'll be popular. He'll be popular too, but I mean, he might be like the lesser owned of the Atlanta players.
I think contrarian wise, if you want to get contrarian in this game without fading this game, DeJounte Murray over Trae Young, and just hope that DeJounte has a big game and Trae Young doesn't. I prefer Trae Young,
or you could play them together.
Yeah, you could hope for that, like both of them going for 60 plus fantasy points type of game. We saw that happen a couple times. So yeah, I mean, I don't hate that either. As far as like the role players go here, I don't necessarily love any of these guys. I do think like Bogdanovich could be the guy that gets the minutes at 5,600. So he would probably be the one that I'd take the most shots on here. Maybe like a DeAndre Hunter, but I think Bogdanovich has the most upside of these guys.
Yeah, I agree with you. Bogdanovich definitely has the highest upside. I think Saddiq Bey is at least a somewhat interesting. If he gets minutes in the high 20s, I think he could really smash that price tag. But Bogdanovich definitely has the higher ceiling.
Bey is all about minutes. Yeah, he's been playing the minutes. He's been taking the shots. I actually love the Bey call there. He's someone that I had not wrote down. I like it. All right, Cleveland at Philly, 220.5 total here. Philadelphia, a 7.5 point favorite. LeVert questionable. Mitchell and Okoro out. Oubre out for Philly. We'll start here with Cleveland. I mean, LeVert matters so much in this one. Like, if he were to sit, it matters a ton. Regardless, I think this is a spot like Darius Garland is one of these like mid-tier guys that's going to get a lot of ownership. He should anyway. I hope he doesn't, but I know he should. If LeVert sits, I think like a guy like Craig Porter Jr. is a phenomenal value play here. I think, obviously Max Strus is someone that is a really solid play, but like getting this price on Craig Porter Jr., I think is going to be something like this guy will shoot. Like he has no problem shooting. He has no problem driving the basket, creating opportunities. So I really like him. I was really impressed by looking at some of his game flow stuff from the other night.
I'm so glad you brought him up. I was on a show with TJ over the weekend in the same scenario with the Cavaliers, and I completely forgot all about Craig Porter. Like, he is such a good play if LeVert sits, and I think that he's way, way, way too cheap at 3,800. So that's a really great call. Yeah, Max Strus would be good too, but I mean Levert's really the key to this whole thing. I think they're going to need Mobley. I think Mobley's still too cheap at 7,700. They're going to need his size. He gets more peripheral stats than Jared Allen. So I would prefer Mobley over Allen. You could go like Garland, Mobley, Porter or something like that. You probably don't want to play 3 Cavs, but you could definitely play 2 of them.
Yeah, I mean, this is another game that I think is going to be pretty competitive overall.
Yeah.
LeVert matters so much. Like we're really just paying attention to the LeVert news here, because if he sits, it just opens up a lot. If he plays, I don't mind LeVert. It is a knee injury though. Like he could play in 10 minutes into the game, not see the court. So like he would be a large field tournament play only for me if he does suit up.
I'm kind of surprised that this spread is so large. It's Philly by 7.5 right now. I kind of thought it'd be lower than that.
Mitchell being out, I think, matters.
Yeah, no, of course, but still, I thought it would be.
Yeah, you're missing.
I mean, Cleveland crushed Denver with no Mitchell.
I mean, yeah, I saw that the other night. I was a little surprised.
Yeah.
Philly side of here, like this game, the first thing I already kind of mentioned it when I was, when we start here, but Oubre not playing, that's 26 to 35 minutes a night that we're looking at being replaced for Philadelphia. It's tough to say who we think it's going to be. I mean, it could easily be like a Covington. It could easily be like a Nicholas Batum. So like it.
See, Batum's back, so won't Batum and Covington kind of eat into each other's minutes?
I think it matters who starts, right? Like if Batum starts, sends Covington to the bench, it's gonna like Covington should still play 25 plus minutes here with no Oubre. If they both start, that's where it kind of gets a little tricky. I don't think they both start though. What, Embiid, Maxey, Harris, Melton, Batum, Covington comes off the bench. Covington has all the usage on the second unit. He's going to be chucking. So I think that's where like he becomes interesting, is like getting him with that second unit, and he's so cheap at 4,400. Like you're hoping that he picks up 25 plus minutes in this game.
I like the theory. I hope that we get better value.
I do too. I mean, like, LeVert sits on the other side. I that's where you just play Porter Jr.
Right. Yeah. Like I don't really have any interest in any Philly player. This is not the matchup. This is not the spot. I mean, obviously you can always play Embiid, but I want to get so much exposure to that Pacers-Hawks game. I'm not gonna have the salary to play Embiid. So I guess that might leave him open as like a lower owned GPP play, but still, I'm not really that interested.
Embiid, if he gets low ownership, is definitely someone you want to look at in large field tournaments, just because like he is a guy that can go 75 plus in any matchup. Like he's a guy that could break the slate. So if he's going to be the low owned, like everyone's stacking Indiana, Atlanta, that's where like Embiid becomes super interesting. In that type of scenario where you're going to get low ownership on Embiid on a 5-game slate. And like, we still have to talk about the Lakers. The Lakers are in a phenomenal spot. So like, I do think Embiid somewhat goes overlooked here, which is nice for large field tournaments. Portland at Phoenix, 226.5. Phoenix a 13.5 point favorite in this one. Brogdon questionable. Henderson, Simons, Wainwright, and Williams out. On the Phoenix side, Beal and Lee out. So a lot of injuries here. I kind of hinted at like we're going to get some value. Well, Portland has value. It's just who's going to play minutes? I mean, who's going to stay on the court if this game gets out of hand, I think is what you're kind of thinking here. Obviously, paying attention to the Brogdon news, like he's a guy that was 39 and 44 minutes in the 2 Memphis games right before the Sacramento game where he got hurt. Like he was playing a lot of minutes with Henderson out. I mean, Sharp probably gets a lot of run here, and Skylar Mays probably gets a lot of run in this game. Tough spot. Their pricing has kind of caught up. What are you doing with Portland here?
Man, it's like, they play so many minutes, so they always pop in projections. But this team is so bad, and it's like I feel like it's such a trap to play guys like Sharp and Mays, especially in this matchup. Like you said, we have to wait for the Brogdon news. I do have some interest in Kamara at 4,200 if he's still starting. Or a guy like Jabari Walker in the case of like a blowout. I think those guys, I have a lot more interest in those guys than I do in the pay up options.
Yeah, I really like Jabari Walker. He's who I have written down for my Let's Get Rid GPP play of the day. So I really like this spot for him because I don't think he necessarily comes off the court if the game gets out of hand. So
exactly, those are the types of guys that I want to like dig into this team and see who's going to be like the blowout rotation. Could it be Thibault too?
I mean, it's a possibility for sure. I mean, I don't know if they just let the young guys play. I mean, like let them get like extra minutes if the game's not close. I feel like the guys you're worried about coming off the floor are probably Grant and Ayton. Like they're not playing in a blowout. But I wouldn't be shocked if like Mays and Sharp, Kamara and Walker, like they're all getting minutes here in a game that's not close because what's the point not to get them minutes at this point? I mean, they're young. Getting them reps in the NBA is important.
Yeah, I agree.
Phoenix side, obviously no Beal, but we do got Booker and Durant. They're expensive. It's a fantastic matchup going up against Portland. I mean, with both of them playing, it's tough because, I mean, I think Durant would be the ceiling guy I'd want to play out of the two. Like, they're so close, $400 price difference. I think it'd be Durant over Booker for me today.
It's definitely Durant over Booker for me. Not to say that you can't play Booker in like, a 20 max setting or something like that, but Durant is definitely the guy straight up in a vacuum that I'd rather play for sure. Other guys like, I mean, I like to play guys like Eric Gordon, Grayson Allen, but like, I don't know. I don't think this is really the spot. Like this game is going to be like such a blowout. I think Keita Bates-Diop is somebody that's going to be pretty interesting too. They're trying to get him more run, and they might play him more in a blowout scenario.
Yeah, I don't hate that call. Like Nassar Little might be someone that gets a little bit of extra run in a blowout too, but I hate projecting blowouts. I talk about this if anyone's listened to the Morning Grind for years. It's one of the things that I absolutely hate trying to do. But I mean, Phoenix is a much better team. And
we didn't even bring up Nurkic revenge.
If this game stays remotely close and Nurkic gets 35 minutes, he could crush.
He's gonna go for over 50 if this game stays close.
He's another guy that like you just worry about, like first guy off the court in a blowout type of situation, though. All right, we finished it out with Utah at LA taking on the Lakers. 234.5 total here. Lakers 8-point favorite. Kessler out for Utah. Vanderbilt and Vincent out for the Lakers. LeBron questionable, like every single slate. He has been playing with the questionable tag. He is dealing with like a left leg injury. He played 39, 40 minutes the other night with the same questionable tag. So fully expect LeBron to play. That's all I was getting at. We'll start here with Utah. I mean, this is a spot where you really think Clarkson could have a big game. Like
that's just who I was gonna say.
You think he can have a big game? I mean, he's been chucking. He has over 19 shot attempts in 4 of the last 5 games. What are your thoughts here on Utah?
Yeah, so Jordan Clarkson was the very first name that came to me for Utah. The other one is Colin Sexton. He hasn't been getting like huge minutes, but he's been highly productive in those minutes, and he's still only 4,500. So coming off the bench, I think he's a really, really good play. I don't want to play Olynyk because he's center only, so I don't want to waste a center spot on him. I don't think this is a very good spot for John Collins. I don't think this is a very good spot for Lauri Markkanen either. So it's really just Jordan Clarkson and Colin Sexton for me.
The other guy that I had written down large field tournaments is Horton Tucker.
Yeah.
Type of game that we could see, like, I mean, Kelly Olynyk is notorious for foul trouble, and this is a type of game that he could easily get into foul trouble, and like THT comes out and gets 25 plus minutes. So I wouldn't mind taking some shots on him or like Colin Sexton in large field tournaments just because of the price. It's all about minutes. Like if they give Sexton the run and he gets to 25 plus minutes and he's able to get 12 plus shots up, he has upside at 4,500. So I like the cheaper options here. Love Clarkson. I could see Markkanen having a big game, but I just not a guy that I'm likely going to get to on the slate where I like so many other people in this price range.
Yeah, exactly.
Lakers side, I mean, LeBron or Davis, flip a coin. I mean, I still think like Davis has a higher ceiling on most nights. LeBron has been playing better. I mean, they're both just so good in general. I always like taking shots on Reeves in tournaments. When he's shooting the ball well, he's been really like getting the rebounds and stuff as well. Like LeBron's not going up there and fighting for rebounds, so he gets the ones that bounce to him. What are your thoughts here with the Lakers?
I mean, we mentioned guys pretty much in every single game that I'd rather play over LeBron and AD. So they really fall to the bottom for me. I've got no interest in Russell. I understand what you're saying about Reeves, but I don't think I'm going to get there at 5,700. I really do not like this Lakers team in this spot with these prices.
The thing that I love about Reeves in this spot is like Utah is just terrible defending wings. So like this is a spot Reeves could get up 10 threes and make 5 of them. So that's why I like it. And he's not likely going to shoot 10 threes. I think the most he has on the season is like 8 attempts. So this is just a spot he's going to have some open looks. That's why I like Reeves.
I'm just worried like LeBron's going to get 50, AD is going to get 50. Reeves is going to get 30. They'll all be good, but not like hit like ceiling performances. That's my only kind of problem with it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I think the flip side to that argument is the in-season tournament game and like the showing up and like really wanting to put this game away kind of thing. So
yeah,
we've seen the minutes bump up on these in-season tournament games. Like,
I didn't really know how like they were going to be treated for this, but I guess I actually want to win this, which is.
I think there's a lot of money involved. I haven't been able to find a lot about like, oh, it's a trophy. We all know it's more than a trophy. Like, come on.
Okay.
Right. Like,
well, yeah, I'd never thought of that. I didn't know why like teams are trying so hard to win this thing. So I don't know.
I'm Googling, see if there's been more. I mean, that's what you do, right? Like
player bonuses or something like that. I don't know.
Each player on the winning team takes home $500,000. So there you go. So that it came out. There's an article from the Athletic. Shout out to the Athletic.
So for like 20% of the players, that means nothing. But to most of them,
listen, $500K is still $500K.
Yeah.
Second place gets $200K per player. Yeah, but you got these guys that are like, I mean, 9th, 10th players on the team. They're like, all right, guys, let's go.
That means a ton to like 80% of the roster, but like the top tier guys.
Oh, I get it. Like, what's $500K to LeBron? I mean, I get that. I'm just saying, like,
All right, so that's why. Okay.
Semifinal
that.
teams each get 100K, and the 4 losing teams in the quarterfinal get 50K per player. So, I mean, like, bragging rights to win the first ever in-season tournament, first of all. And then second of all, I mean, that's a really good boost to your team, right? Like, winning the first ever one, good momentum. 500K doesn't stink. So the minutes have been a little bit more secure in these games from what we've noticed so far. And it's still very early, but I mean, it's worth noting. All right, morning grind game, and then we will get out of here. Favorite play under 5K to go 7X. Who do you got?
I'm going to go Colin Sexton.
I like it. I like the upside there. I'm going to... Man, so this question would be so easy if we knew. I'm just going to say it, and obviously it matters, but I'm going to go Craig Porter Jr. In this one. But it obviously really depends on LeVert playing or not playing in this one. Over 8K to go under 5X. Who's your bust?
Over 8K. Booker.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate that one. I'm gonna go Barnes. That's who I wrote down. I'm just gonna stick with it. Give me Scotty Barnes. I think it's a Siakam game. Favorite 6X play today?
Oh, well, that's easy. Trae Young.
Always going with Trae Young. I'm writing in red pen, so there you go, Trae Young. Mojo sent your way. I'm gonna go Jordan Clarkson. I think this is a spot. Jordan Clarkson is gonna put up 25 plus shots against the Lakers and be like, "You should have kept me." Let's get weird. GPP play of the day.
It's gotta be someone from that Portland Phoenix game. So I'll let you have Jabari Walker. I'll take Keita Bates-Diop.
Do you see does everyone that's been listening understand what just happened? I made sure that I announced who I was going to pick while we were breaking down stuff, so that
for the record, I do like yours better, but I think mine is viable.
I didn't get sniped tonight. Yeah. I thought about it. No,
exact same prices too.
We like to do a bet or a fantasy projection play, but there's not a ton of stuff up yet.
I would like to do a bet.
Go for it.
I'm gonna take the points with Cleveland.
Cleveland plus 7.5. I like it.
Yeah.
Make sure really quick that hasn't changed. I wrote it down like an hour ago, so I don't think it's changed. So you can get it at 7.5 almost everywhere still. So there you go. Cleveland plus 7.5. You can get it at minus 110 over there on DraftKings Sportsbook.
Yeah, I think I'm going to bet that right now. I have DK and Caesars now.
Nice. I really, like I said, I'm going to be looking at the points assists prop for Halliburton, and I'll be checking it quite a bit here because I really like that one. I think it's just a phenomenal spot for him. So that's one I'll be looking at for sure. Tim, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
No, thanks so much for having me, Stevie. Appreciate it.
Always a blast. Always a blast. Capella's rebounds. That was the other one. I was trying to remember. I had to flip page. But yeah, Capella's rebounds. All right, we're going to get out of here. Hope everyone has a fantastic Tuesday. We're back Wednesday talking more basketball, potentially a little bit of football. I know we got we're going to do some type of football podcast for the Thursday, potentially and Friday game. So be on the look for that. And Devontae Smith just had a monster play down at the 1. Hope everyone has a fantastic Tuesday. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll see you then.